on a minute, I haven't switched my lights on. Don't know that it makes that much difference actually. Anyway, here it is, lights on. Yeah, it does make a difference. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to be looking at COWL armholes. COWL armholes. We did the COWL armhole. Now we're looking at COWL sleeves. But the first COWL sleeve we're going to look at is actually an extension of the COWL armhole. So let me just do you a quick what it kind of looks like. So again, it ends at the waist. You can do it further down, but usually it would end at the waist and then be attached to something. And it's a wide sleeve that has lots of extra at the armhole. So if I was to lay this sleeve out flat, it would be kind of like that. So, and then when you force the arm down, that's when you create these lovely drapes. And again, you could, I know, attach it to trousers. You can do all sorts of things with it. It can be a coat. You could use it in combo with a draped neck. You can have something that actually looked really smart if you wanted, that had like a shirt neck and then a crazy cowl armhole. Anyway, that's kind of up to you in terms of what you might do as a designer. So what I've done is I've traced out the very first bits of the COWL armhole. It's exactly the same technique to start with, in that these are your shoulder bits. That's what drapes under your arm with the COWL armhole. And again, this is the shoulder, and this line is the bit that's going to create these. So weirdly, the thing I think you need to get your head around with this is that there's no seam here, but there's a seam that runs along that edge of the garment. So you have a seam that runs across the shoulder and down the top edge of the arm, rather than what you would normally expect, which is no seam on your sleeve on the top edge and a seam that runs under. But if you can get your head around that, then you're halfway to knowing what's going on. So same as with the armhole, we've traced off the front, we've put the shoulder dart into the armhole. We've traced off the back, we've put its shoulder dart into the armhole, and we have drawn a straight line across here. And that straight line now is not going to be the finished edge. That's going to be what we grow the arm, or the sleeve, sorry, off from. I have marked the center point on this, so you need to measure and mark the center point. Let's check I've got it in the right place. I believe I have. So that measures with my tape measure. Let's do it in centimeters, because that's the kind of people you are. That's 64. So the center is 32. Heaven only knows how I managed to get it there just a minute ago. So ignore that. So halfway point. On that halfway point, we are going to draw a line that's at 90 degrees. And we're going to extend it. And we're going to extend it by roughly 20 inches, which is, sorry, I keep switching, in my head I keep switching between inches and centimetres, yeah, roughly 20, so 20 is 51 centimetres. So 51 centimetres down. I'm going to continue to draw this line down. Okay, so that is now that bit. This starts at the waist and that goes up under the arm until it hits the wrist. Now at the wrist, I'm going to really hope wish I'd have a bigger table. I'm going to make a wrist measurement of about 24 centimetres. And again, that would very much depend on what your design was. If you were using this for a jacket, for instance, you know all the alterations we did for a jacket, the jacket and lapel, you could do that on the front of this. It would probably want a wider cuff. Anywho, I am now going to join up the shoulder with that cuff line. But that's a relatively ugly shape. So I'm going to say that at the halfway mark on this, halfway, so I've got 55, that would be roughly 27 and a half. I'm going to come in by 3.5 centimetres, and I'm going to create a curve that runs between those two measurements. That to me is a much nicer line. You could just leave it square if you wanted. But what we now have to do is make sure that this is exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to start by joining up the shoulder with the wrist. So, and then I'm going to fold does rather take over a little bit. I'm going to fold it so that it's folded down that the first line that we did. Right in that. It's a beast. It just is taken over a little bit. And when I do that, hopefully yes, fantastic. That line is matching up with the last line that I drew from on the front from the shoulder. So all I have to do now is trace through and I am going to give myself a notch part way down. So that I have the same shape on the front pattern piece as I have on the back pattern piece, so that they will sew together really nice and easily. Again, I know you don't have to worry about that at this moment, but it's always good to keep in mind when you're making a pattern that at some point either you or some other soul is going to have to sew it back together. Okay, that is it. So I'm going to cut this out so that you can see what it does, because I know it's really hard to imagine. So I'm going to just talk you through it again. This is obviously the waist edge. Waist. This is the underarm. So if I name that UA, on here, UA is at that point, and UA is the bit that makes the crinkle. This here, that line, is this. And I know it doesn't look like it is because this is draping over the body in this direction, whereas that's shooting off in the air. But you will get your head around it, and then you will be delighted. And like I say, you can do alterations on this like you did for your jacket. It makes for a lovely jacket or coat, but there you go, all memories of the 1980s. Okay, so there is a chart that goes with this, and I will do it live for you in class. So hopefully doing the chart live to you in class and this session on film, you should be able to get to come to terms with it. Okay.